Hey, y'all, I'm Shane Sams. Thanks for listening to my podcast today. Super excited to bring you another expert author, an amazing entrepreneur that is going to help you take everything in your life and your business to the next level. Really excited about my guest today. Good friend of mine named Bo Hanson. Bo Hanson is one of the best financial planners in America. Underline it, put an exclamation point on it. I do not want any hyperbole on that one. That's for real. Together with his partner, he's grown an amazing firm that serves high-end financial clients from around the United States. I had the great pleasure to spend 4 or 5 days with Bo a few months ago. Every year, my mastermind rents a houseboat out on this lake. We go out for 4 or 5 days. We hang out, we swim, we talk about business, we ride jet skis, we sit around campfires. Sometimes we've even got to fend off or run away from a bear or a coyote or two. But it's awesome to get out with a bunch of guys and just unplug. There's no cell phone service. And every year on this trip, we like to invite new people to come with us. Well, this year, Bo got the invitation from another member of the mastermind named Grant Baldwin. And man, it was just such a blessing and such an amazing time to be able to spend time with Bo out there on the water. We talked about parenting and marriage and life and everything in between, but we also talked a lot about financial planning. We talked about what entrepreneurs, experts, authors, people out there who are running their own businesses really need to do to keep more of the money that they make and secure their family's future forever. And as I got to know Bo and I got to see his expertise, I said, man, I've got to get this guy on the podcast because everybody needs to pick up what this guy's putting down. So on today's podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about Bo's story, how he went from absolute abject poverty to building an amazing financial planning firm. We're going to talk about overcoming fears and mindset issues that emerge when your business becomes successful. Fears and mindset issues that you've got to deal with if you're going to keep taking your dreams to the next level. And then Bo is going to tell us 5 things, the 5 most important things that every business owner, every entrepreneur needs to do as soon as their business starts making money to protect the business, to keep the business growing, and to create a financial future that is secure for your family. We're also going to talk a little trash to each other because our favorite football teams are playing this weekend. So you're really going to want to listen in. I know you're going to have a lot of fun with today's show. So wherever you're listening from, grab a notebook and a pen, take some notes, pour yourself a cup of coffee, maybe a mason jar of sweet tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. What a serendipitous recording.
When this got booked, I was wondering if you did this on purpose because I don't know if you see it. It's there. It's not coming down. It's there.
By the way, we're recording. I'm just telling you. Not even 3, 2, 1 in this one. We're in.
Just so you know.
All the banter is going to be here.
Yeah, man, what a week, right? Like this is going to be a big one. And I'm terrified. And I got to be honest. I am literally terrified of what Saturday's going to look like.
Look, I got, for those of you listening later, this is game week, Georgia, Kentucky. Bo is an amazing Georgia fan. I am a huge Kentucky fan. He's got the Georgia helmet behind him on his shelf right now. I got the Kentucky on my forehead right now. We are representing our universities with pride.
That's exactly right.
2 6-0 juggernauts are going head to head this weekend. I think we're gonna come out on the wrong end of this one.
I got to be honest. I hope so, but I feel like right now Kentucky has everything in the world to prove, and Georgia's sitting in this position with everything to lose, right? And so I like it better when we're underdogs, but
it's deja vu a little bit because back in 2018 when we had Benny Snell and Josh Allen and all those good guys, we this same thing happened. I went to this game like we were 5-0. Georgia was coming to Kroger Field, Commonwealth Stadium for the old school people out there, and we were nervous. I mean, you could tell the kid. It took us 2 quarters to settle down, made a game of it, and then it was over. But I'm hoping some of that experience carries over. And I just want it to be a great game. I want us to
won
show
some
up,
big ball games this year, so I think your boys gonna be ready because I mean it's not like y'all have had a pancake schedule so far.
Game day, and SEC Nation is going to the same place.
It's going to be big.
This is only the 3rd time that's ever happened.
I'm stoked.
I'm pumped. Are you going? You're not going, are you?
No, I'm not going. I'm not going. I want to. I told my wife we're doing a little staycation here in Nashville. There's a local little hotel and water park here, so we're gonna go stay there for a few nights. But I will be glued
the
to
Gaylord. Are you going to the Gaylord?
Yeah. Opryland. That's right. Yep. They have this little
water park is legit, man.
It's nuts, man. My kid, I got 2 little girls and they love it.
I'll be watching from my living room as well. I thought about it for a half second going down and I said, nah, that's a long drive back.
Yep.
So we'll get it going, man, though. So how's work, man? How's everything going?
It's good, man. Things are rocking and rolling. One of the things we did recently is we bought that building I told you about. We bought a building here in downtown Franklin. We're getting it renovated and trying to get everything ready. And I have not done a ton of like real estate stuff before. So every single day I'm like learning a new thing. Today I had a guy out there checking the sprinkler heads because apparently that's a thing you got to do. And so that kind of stuff's keeping us busy. Firm is still growing. Show is still growing. So
awesome, man.
Life is good, man. Life is good.
Let's do this. We met on an amazing mastermind trip a few weeks ago. Just an absolute amazing trip I do every year with some guys. And you were there, man. And what a great addition to the crew. And it was just amazing. So I know what you do. So real quick, just for the listeners, tell everybody what Bo Hanson does.
So in my day job, I'm a fee-only financial advisor. So that means that I don't sell any products, don't receive any commissions, don't do insurance. The only way we get paid is directly from our end client. And we do holistic financial planning. So we look at investment management, tax planning, retirement planning, college save, any financial question you have, we kind of help our clients with that. And that's so I call that my day job. That's sort of the more boring piece. That's not boring for me, but the more boring piece of what we do. The exciting thing we do is we do this show. It started as a podcast and now it's a full-on YouTube show called The Money Guy Show, where we basically just give away free information, load people up. And the podcast has been around since 2006. So we've been doing it for a long, long time now.
Yeah. When does the show come out? It comes out. Do you do it every week or?
It comes out. So we have a new show that comes out every Friday, depending on the medium. If you're a podcast person or if you're a YouTube person, so a new show that comes out every Friday. We do a live stream every Tuesday. So if you kind of like this interactive, being able to chat back and forth, we do that Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Central. And then we'll cut our stuff into like highlight videos, and we do some like Q&A podcasts that'll kind of go out throughout the week. So we have stuff coming out pretty much all throughout the week.
And this is all like financial planning, retirement planning, investment stuff, like all that kind of stuff, right? Financial planning, independence.
It is. It's things from, things as simple as like, how can I save $200 a month on my utility bills, right? Like a very common, easy thing for people to like get their head wrapped around, all the way to like more advanced plan. Like, hey, I'm a business owner and I just had a really good year. What are some really good ways for me to like legally hide money from the government? What are some ways for me to build towards retirement? What are some ways for me to make sure that every dollar I'm putting away is working as hard for me as it can? So our audience is pretty broad, pretty wide, because I think the topics we cover are pretty broad and wide.
It's so funny though, man. The same challenges like always creep up every level. Like you take that, part like that journey of like figuring out how to save that $200 and saving up emergency funds and doing all that. But like, then I remember the first year after we got our online business, I was like, wow, we made so much money. This is amazing. And then like all of it disappeared. And I was like, what just happened? How did that happen? Like, because like, you just don't know these things. And if you don't have anybody to ask, or you're not researching it, like, dude, I went down a rabbit hole my second or third year in business. And I was like, I'm never ever letting that happen ever again. And I learned all these things that I didn't even know existed because I started paying attention to shows like what you guys do, Yeah,
it's wild. Business, it's hard. Like you have this idea. You're like, I have this thing that I want to get out to the masses. And so it becomes your baby, right? And you launch it. And all you're thinking about early on is, how do I make this thing work? How do I make this thing successful? How do I make this thing like actually generate some sort of income for me? And then for most business owners, right? Like if it's a year, 2 years, or 3 years, depending on your unique story, you finally hit that success point. And you're finally like, okay, wow, I was able to buy groceries this month. And then April comes around and you go to do that tax return and you're like, oh my God, what just happened to me? And so one of the things we try to do on our show is like educate people so they don't get hit with that, holy cow, this was an unexpected thing that I had not planned for.
Like everybody told me like to save money for taxes. So I had the money to pay the taxes, but like, but everyone was like, just save like 30, 40 10% of your income and you'll pay your taxes. And I had this question though, at the end of that year, I was like, wait a minute.
Do I have to?
Do I have to give them all this money? Like, why do I have to give them this giant Scrooge McDuck money bin? It makes no sense. I got a great question for you in a minute. So I'm going to
because I bet then your eyes were open that you don't have to get rid of that 30 to 40%, right? Like there's some things
100%.
that you can do where you get to keep more of your money, right? You worked hard for it. You wanted to work hard for you. And so if you're willing to
put it to work in the mission.
That's
of the business.
That's exactly right.
What you that produces more wealth on the other side, which creates more tax stuff. But like you get more stuff, like that's the mission, right? Like how can I fuel my passion and purpose or whatever?
That's exactly right, man. Yep.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit. How did you get into this? You know what I'm saying? Like take me back like before you got into this firm, especially. Like, what's your background? Like just wrote, nutshell of how you grew up. And then like, let's talk about, maybe starting at your 20s, like how you started getting into all this stuff.
I was fortunate. I grew up like very, very poor. I was born into a family where my biological mother and father just didn't make very good life decisions. And so I had a pretty turbulent childhood, very transient, in and out of poverty, in and out of unique circumstances. And I realized really early on, I don't like that. Like, I don't want that to be my circumstance long-term. And so I figured out, man, if I don't want to be poor, I probably ought to figure out some way to know about money. So I knew pretty early on that one of the things I want to do with my life is figure out how money works and how to how to make it, how to save it, how to make sure it's there when you need it. And then how to tell that to other people. So I don't know if I mentioned this. I went to the University of Georgia, greatest university in all the land. And I graduated
6-0 playing Kentucky.
I graduated with a financial planning degree. I was one of the very first cohorts where Georgia offered a financial planning program. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to go do that. So I actually graduated from the University of Georgia with a financial planning degree. And what that allowed me to do was as soon as I graduated early on, I was able to hit the ground running sort of in this profession. So there was a guy who came and talked to the student association. Most schools have like some sort of student association for the major. And he said, hey, I'm thinking about, hiring an intern. I'm thinking about doing that. I've never hired anybody before. And so I went up to him after. I was like, hey, can I send you a resume? I'm really interested in this internship. And so he interviewed me. This was in February and there was supposed to be a summer deal and it went really well. I killed it, right? Like you kind of just know after you have an interview, if you've done well, you kind of just have a feeling about it. And so I did that and then radio silence. March went by and then April went by and almost in the end of April, I called this guy and I was like, hey man, I just want to follow up. I never heard back from you on this interview. And I feel like it went really well. I love your business. I love what you're trying to do. I love this thing that you've started. And I feel like here are all the different areas where I could add value and I could really plug in, but you never called me back. You never gave me a second chance. I just wanted to get some feedback. Why was that? Because I felt like your firm was where I belonged. And that was kind of this thing that I said to him. And he said, okay, hey, let me think about this. And I did call you back. Well, an hour goes by, he calls me back and says, hey, yeah, you're right. I should hire you. And I was like, oh man,
that's a great lesson in calling your employer back. Right.
Yeah. Like I was like, holy cow, that works. So I got the internship and within a few weeks, we kind of hit it off. So I started working there after I graduated from university. I worked, through my senior year or through one semester my senior year, started working there. And then we were doing, this podcast thing, right? Like it was very fledgling back then. Like I said, it started in 2006. I joined up in 2008, but it was small. I mean, there were mom and pops. Podcasting was not a popular thing back then, but we started kind of getting some traction and being a little more strategic in how we did it. And so eventually the firm grew to where instead of just being this sort of small firm that helped people in and around the metro Atlanta area, we started having clients all over the country, right? And we recognized, hey, maybe we should instead of this firm that had sort of these two offices, one in South Atlanta and one in Augusta, Georgia, where the Masters is played, maybe we should think about having more of sort of this national presence. And so he and I came up with this idea. We were going to split up with the former partner, completely amicable. He had a great firm and a great thing going. And he and I started this firm, the current firm, Abound Wealth, with more of this focus on how can we educate as many people as possible about how to make really good financial decisions. There was I can't remember where I got this, but I saw this the other day. It said, if you're born poor, if you're born in less than ideal financial circumstances, you don't really get to control that. But especially if you're born in this country, if you die poor, that was kind of on you, right? Because there are some things, no matter where you come from, no matter your walk in life, that you can do some things. If you figure it out early on, you can set yourself up for long-term financial success. And it doesn't take millions upon millions of dollars to do that. It just takes really 3 key ingredients: discipline, a little bit of money that's derived from that discipline, and then the time to let your money work as hard as you do. So we figured that out. And so that's kind of where I came. And now we've, the firm has grown and the show has grown, and we're able to, where we used to be able to talk to thousands of folks, now we're able to, interact with millions of folks, which is super, super exciting.
So that's interesting. So like the national presence was kind of built on the backbone of this show then, right? Like, so you use the online presence to just, the mission is just to go out and teach as much as possible, like give as much value as possible.
That's exactly right.
And all those people that learn from you now, a pool of them will want to come eventually and work with you guys. Is that correct? Is that where a lot of your clients come from, is from this national audience?
You nailed it. I would say that 99% of our clients come from that audience. And this is what we figured out. We knew how to do something. We knew how to do money. We knew how to make financial decisions. But the limiting factor was, in order to work for our firm, you had to have already built some wealth. So at the time, our minimum was like $250,000. Well, a lot of folks would reach out who were just starting their business or who had only saved up $50,000 or 60. And we weren't equipped to work with them from a firm standpoint, but we didn't just want to send them out to somebody to sell them something they didn't need or give them bad advice. So we said, hey, we know this thing. Let's utilize this platform we have to just give it away, just load people up with information. And we didn't really know that it would work this way. But what ended up happening is it was able to establish us as experts. The people said, man, if these guys give this away for free, I got to reach out and see, how can I do business with them? How can I let them be part of my financial team? And then sort of the rest is history. But you're exactly right. I was using that education platform to create this digital presence that turned into a real meaningful business.
Like what an argument for, I'm in the online world, like almost exclusively, like the knowledge industry and things like that. But like, what an argument for every business owner out there of any business period, whether it's a restaurant or a plumber or a whatever, like to just go and put content out there and teach people things. Cause like, it's the same thing as a plumber. Listen, I could have a podcast about plumbing. I have toilets, sinks. I could listen to it. I could understand it. I promise you, I'm still calling a plumber, right? Like, I'm just not doing it, man.
Absolutely.
I'll break it, but like for you, it's the same thing. Like somebody's calling you to come out and be a part of it, because somebody's going to hear you and say, I know how to do this, but I don't have time, or I can't, or I want them to do it for me, basically,
You said something to me on the houseboat, and I've been thinking about it a lot, right? Like this was a Shane Sam's, like just inspirational thing. You said, everyone is an expert at something, right? And it's figuring out, how can you take the thing that you are an expert at and let other people know about that? And I think that we live in one of the most exciting times ever to be able to capitalize on that, because now it's easy to be able to start a blog or a podcast or a YouTube. That wasn't around. I mean, that wasn't around 30 or 40 years ago. It wasn't easy to do like it is now. And I think that businesses that aren't utilizing that and thinking about that there's a high likelihood they'll be left behind.
Yeah. The question I always ask people which springs that conversation is, what do you know that nobody knows you know?
Ooh,
because we all know something. Like I know online business, I know memberships, I know football coaching. Jocelyn knows librarian lesson plans. Like the plumber knows to plumb. Is it even called plumb? I don't know what that's called.
I think that's right. Yeah,
that's all right. Yeah, but the problem is you're not telling people, and that's where the world economy is. Like it's rewarding people who tell other people.
That's right.
What they know. It's like you're telling people all this financial information. It's helpful. I'm sure people are using it and investing off of your strategies just straight from your podcast, but it's demonstrating your excellence and demonstrating your expertise. And that's what gets you the clients.
And what I think is that's okay. Our whole thing, we have this idea. It's called the abundance cycle. We want you to come learn, apply what we teach you, and grow. And there's no cost to that. It's completely free, because we recognize we can't work. I mean, there's like 330 million Americans in this country. They can't all be clients of ours, nor do they need to be. So we recognize that, people can come and take this information and they can apply and it can impact their financial lives. And we're okay with doing that service for the world, because if you do a good enough job at that, just like you said, you can watch all the plumbing things and do all the stuff. you're still going to call the plumber. You're still going to seek out an expert. What I think was so crazy about my industry that they finally caught on to, people used to be so proprietary on their information. They would say, oh, no. Hold on. You do a show where you give it away for free. You tell people how to save. You tell people. And we're like, yes, we tell people. Why would I do this thing where I say, oh, no, you got to hire me to get the goods. No, I know this thing. Hire me. That I think if your information wants to be free, it's the folks who can figure out how to get it out to a lot of folks, to a lot of people really, really well, and do it well, that are going to be able to move into the next iteration of business.
Our students always ask me this: how much content should I give away for free, and how much should I put in the membership? And my answer is always the same: all of it. It should all be free, and then it should all be organized in a path inside your membership. Everything I could possibly say, or that me and you that could talk about today, is 100% somewhere on free on the internet right now. Like, you can look up any information. And in fact, on my podcast, my other podcast, the Flip Lifestyle podcast, like I've done like almost 600 shows now. Right. And it's a coaching call. It's not like like this, where we're just hanging out and talking and stories and stuff like that. It's like literally like, what do you need help with? I promise you, in those 600 calls, I've answered every question that I got a course for in the membership, right? Now, the curation's there, the support's there, the community's there, the leadership's there, the expertise is there. But like content, man, just let it go. Let it be like Elsa, baby. Just let it go out into the world.
Let it go.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's no reason to hold back, man. Exactly if you hold yours back, you've just gave your competitor all the advantage. Every bit of it.
That's exactly right. And I don't run from that. People ask me all the time, hey, well, why should I hire you when I could just listen to your show? I was like, you're exactly right. You can listen to the show, but you got to listen to it for, the last 15 years. And you probably need to have a couple designations, and you need to have the degree that I have, right? How long does it take me to solve a financial problem? It takes 15 minutes and 15 years, right? Like that's the difference in me and the normal person, because of what I bring to the table. But the information's out there. I am not of the opinion you ought to try to keep it guarded, because
also
people
too,
will find it.
Oh yeah. Also too, like you've got you said something there about the designation, right? Like there's like the separator or whatever, like, especially when we're selling stuff. Yeah. I want people to be able to, we have success stories on our website where people just listened to the podcast and made it. We got one guy that listened just to the podcast. He didn't join the community, couldn't afford it. He was a school teacher in Ohio, and he just listened to the podcast, and he just took action every week for like 3 or 4 or 5 years or something. And he ended up starting a business, quitting his job, and selling it for $2 million. Hey,
off of free advice.
Bro, he put in his 6-7 years, right? And he did it. Cool.
Did it.
Do you think I'm any less happy for him than someone that did it in 3 months in the community?
Not a chance.
Right. But that's the difference and like for yours, like your firm has a limit of, okay, I need you to have this much money invested before we can put the time in to take you on.
That's right.
Advisors. So everybody too can find that line. So when you figure out what you know that nobody knows, and you put it out there, like me and you are putting content out there every single week, that's fine. There's going to be a line where a percentage of your people will always pay you. So don't even worry about it. They'll come. That's not your job. You can't control that part of it. All you can control is the create content, be consistent, be prolific, be relentless, and then the clients will kind of pour out of that. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you a couple questions here. All right. Because I got you here. I know everybody's like, Shane, get to the good stuff. We've got a guy that's crushing life. All right. So I'm going to ask you like 2 simple questions. Then I got a third question that's going to be very interesting. All right. So one, when people start their business, and let's go advanced. Maybe it's not someone that's got the $250,000. Maybe it's somebody that is profitable, that come out of their first profitable year. Maybe they've got, 50 to 100 grand in the bank, right? Like, what do you find are the biggest fears and mindset issues people take there? Because I said this to a buddy of mine the other day. I was like, nobody told me growing up that you could make over $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like if you think about every career that everyone is pushed into in college and high school and everything, teachers, doctors, nurses, lawyers, whatever, none of those jobs. I mean, maybe doctors get up to like 200, maybe the specialists are making $500,000, but nobody explains to you that it's possible to just go out and create a job that can make $1 million, right? Or whatever. So like, what do you find those people, the entrepreneurs who make it, and have some money, the fears that creep in, like those first fears that they face that they weren't trained for growing up, you know?
Well, I think the number one fear, and I don't think this is one that goes away. And we call this the healthy entrepreneurial fear. When you're broke and you got nothing, you're not afraid of a ton because you're starting from zero. But once you've had some success, especially if you've had that first really profitable year, that second really profitable year, you start worrying, oh man, what if it all goes away? What if last year was my best year ever? I actually think that's a really healthy thing. And I encourage all my business owners, hold on to that, like grab onto that fear and squeeze it. Because what it's going to make you do is it's going to make you a better leader. It's going to make you a better entrepreneur. It's going to make your products better. And it's going to make you serve your clients better. Our firm is significantly larger than it was 10 years ago. My partner and I, we are still terrified they could all go away tomorrow. Even though the show, we've got all these folks that listen, we're still terrified that it could go away tomorrow. And so what that causes us to do is make sure that every single day we are focusing on being more excellent, delivering more value, doing more fill in the blank, right? Yeah. So I think that's one of the things that most entrepreneurs struggle with. And that's sort of like this big high level thing. Here's the second one. And this is so like nitty gritty of the details. It's bookkeeping. It's the accounting that goes along with business ownership. Because I think most business owners are not well-versed and they never had any experience with how like basic accounting goes. And so we see businesses that bring in a lot of revenue, but they do a horrible job of tracking expenses or keeping things separate. It always blows my mind when I talk to a business owner and I say, okay, great. Hey, tell me about your business. How, what'd you do last year in revenue? Like, $300,000 in revenue. And I was like, great. What was your net profit from that? And they're like, I have no idea. I just kind of pull and I'm like, man, how can you really assess how
I paid my mortgage and my car payment? Does that count?
That's right. That's exactly right. And so that's one of the fears is I think that most business owners are afraid that they've not experienced money before, especially like in the business world. So they don't know how to do it well. They don't know how to like think through, how do I draw that like nice, neat line between my personal life and my business life and the financial implications of both and how to marry them together.
Yeah, man, that's a great point. Like we have a mutual friend named Grant Baldwin. He's been a guest on this podcast. If anybody wants to go back and listen to Grant, but I don't know how many times over the last, I don't even know how long I've known Grant, but like we'll just be talking or something and, texting back and forth. And all of a sudden you'll get a message where like something happened in the business and you're like, well, boys, it's been a good run. That's what Grant's, that's Grant.
It was fun while it lasted, guys.
I know I hit the Inc. 5000 this year, but tomorrow it may all go away. Like that is so true, man. I've never thought about it that way like that. And you don't really think about that, I guess, back when you have a 9-to-5 job. You just have a job and you get paid and you go to work. And as long as you don't screw up, you don't get fired. So you don't really have that fear. My second question was actually the external obstacles. And you already kind of answered that, like the bookkeeping. That was why we got so screwed up on taxes. We just didn't understand that you were supposed to, we knew how much we made that first couple years, but we didn't really know what to do with it. And we hired a bookkeeper. Yep. And when someone else was paying attention to it, man, that was like what took all that off of us, because
it's a game changer.
You can't do that yourself. Like you just can't, man. You need to get somebody to not because you can't do it. That somebody out there is bucking up going, I do too. I do my books every week. I can. I'm smart enough to do. I know you're smart enough. I know you can do it. You have a spreadsheet, blah, blah, blah. But like, you're not paying attention to it. That's the problem. Like until the last second when you're doing your taxes, and you got to hire that stuff out, man. Let somebody else do it.
And I would challenge, for business owners, like my business partner, we talked because he was an accountant by training. So he loved the accounting and the books. So early on in the business, the books would look amazing, right? Like they would be so clean and so immaculate and so perfect. And what we recognized was, instead of like focusing on growing the business, he was doing the easy thing, right? Because it kind of came second nature to him. I'd argue if you own a business, whatever your business is, whether it's selling widgets or doing some sort of service or being a plumber, you should be able to focus on doing the thing that you're better in the world than anyone else at. You should not spend all of your time doing bookkeeping. You should not spend all of your time. So I think like hiring that out, getting someone to come in and help, getting a bookkeeper, getting an accountant, that makes all the sense in the world, because those are not hours that are spent, that you're not spending your best amount of time doing those things, you need to be doing the thing that, God put you on this earth to do. And if it's not bookkeeping, don't force yourself to do bookkeeping.
That's amazing. So I think that actually leads me into my question here. So I'm going to put down, I got this question. It's got five things, what I'm going to call this. Okay. Just for you. But the first one, I'm going to get a bookkeeper.
Okay.
because I think that's like, all right. So to secure our financial future, okay, let's talk to the entrepreneurs, the authors, the experts out there who are, taking it to the next level. Once you get to a certain level, you go hire Bo. That's what you do.
That's right. I love it.
You go hire Bo. All right. But what are the five things like the entrepreneur, like who has got their business going, they've got their offer converting, they've got some kind of customer base, they're profitable right there. Yep. There we go. Okay. What are the five things that people do need to have in place? The first one, a bookkeeper. What are four other things that you need to do, not only to secure your finances, but your financial future? Like, what do these entrepreneurs out there need to invest in? What are the simple things that everybody can do before they get to like the advanced stuff, so they don't make stupid mistakes like I did my first couple years, right?
So the first thing the number two, I would say is really a problem. And then like 3, 4, 5 will be solutions to that problem, right? Yep. The biggest, one of the biggest things I see entrepreneurs do is they never build wealth outside of their business. And it's natural, right? Because we have money, we pour it back into our business. We have money, we pour it back into our business. We have money, we pour it back into our business. And that's good. That's prudent. You should do that, especially if you want to scale and you're trying to build something that has some sort of enterprise value. You have to invest in that. But we see this time and time again. Like real estate is a really easy example. Developers and builders do this all the time. They'll have a big win or a big year, and they take 100% of that and pour it into the next thing. They take 100% of that and pour it into the next thing. They take 100% of that and pour it into the next thing. And then 2008 happens. The Great Recession happens. Some seismic shift in your industry happens. Some tax thing happens. If you're an entrepreneur, one of the things you need to be focused on is figuring out how you balance building your business with also building wealth outside of your business, because you need some sort of safety net, some sort of blanket to fall back on. Because there are two types of businesses, sort of in my mind. They're like the income producing businesses, which the way you build your wealth is it generates a really good income for you, and you're able to save some of that income over the course of your life. Or they're the businesses that are like technology enterprise businesses, like you build it up and then you can sell it for something one day, maybe. Either way, you want to have systems in place that are allowing you every year, whether you make $100,000 or whether you make $1 million, that you are squirreling some off to the side. And here's the beautiful part about business ownership. The government actually incentivizes you to do that. They make available retirement plan structures for business owners that not only will allow you to solve that problem, it will also allow you to decrease your tax bill. The number one best way to legally hide money from the government is through a retirement plan. So most business owners, they get through their first year of business and they go see their accountant, they're doing their taxes, and they're like, oh my gosh, I got this huge tax bill. What can I do? How can I decrease this? For most business owners that are like sole proprietors, or maybe it's a husband and wife, they'll go open up what's called a SEP IRA, right? It's just an individual IRA where you can take 20% of your net operating income and you can dump it into this, this retirement account. Well, what it does is it decreases your income by that 20%. So if you make $100,000, you can put $20,000 into this retirement account. It'll decrease your income. And then you're building wealth on the side. You're building wealth outside of the business. Well, then what's really great about business is as you have more success, as you grow, you might start with a SEP IRA, but then you start adding employees. And once you have employees, you don't want to do a SEP anymore because you got to make pretty extensive contributions to them. You might want to do like a traditional 401k, right? A long time ago, 401ks were really, really expensive. It would cost like $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 just in like annual administration and that sort. And most business owners don't want to spend that. Now, because of technology, you can go out and open a 401k and spend like $1,500 a year. I mean, it's a very low barrier to entry to get that in place. And again, it's helping solve a few problems in your business. It's allowing you to build your wealth on the side, allowing you to save money on your taxes. And then once you have employees, it's a really nice golden handcuff to allow your employees a benefit to continue to stay with you and stay in your enterprise. And again, there are ways you can do it between like employees and contractors to figure out what makes sense for your business.
That's a great point too, because like for people who are hiring out there who listen to the show, how do I say this nicely? Employees often overvalue perks, right? Like a 401k. It's just psychology. Like they value that, like they don't know how to go get a retirement plan set up. They don't know how to go out in the free market and buy health insurance, or they think it's too expensive or whatever. So, you can pay somebody $4,000, but the insurance and 401k that might cost you the 5% match, the cost of it, and the health insurance that cost you $1,000, they'll value that 10 times more than they will the actual salary. So like having those things in place once you grow big enough is like huge. And then you can also give yourself the 401k. So you got get a bookkeeper, then mindset shift, build wealth outside of the business, retirement planning. That's the first place that you start out. The SEP IRAs, the 401ks. What else should we be doing?
Here's another one that I see all the time, risk management for business owners. And when I say risk management, like your mind immediately goes to insurance. And that's true. You want to make sure that as you are a business owner, you carry all the appropriate business insurance and all that kind of stuff. I'm amazed when I see business owners that have built wealth and they've done a great job, but then I go look at their personal side and they don't have any life insurance because, they're the business owner. If they kick it tomorrow, their family's going to be stuck because maybe the spouse or the kids, they can't do what you were doing. You were a business owner. That's your specific skill set. So you got to make sure you're protecting those you love from the success and the life that you kind of got them used to. So no life insurance, no disability insurance. And this is the one I see the most often, no umbrella insurance. Umbrella insurance is a special type of insurance that sits on top of your homeowners and your auto insurance to serve as an additional umbrella coverage that keeps you protected. So if you're anyone who has a high income or a healthy income, high income potential or assets, you should for sure go get an umbrella policy in place because it will just protect you from those unknown things that could happen to you. We have tons of examples, real life, that we've seen with our clients where those policies have paid off. And the beautiful part is they are so inexpensive. I think we got an extra $1 million policy for a client last year. It was $200 for the whole year. It's very, very inexpensive coverage. So having all of your insurance in place is one thing. Here's the other one. That I see business owners often screw up. And this is kind of number 4 under protecting yourself. Make sure that you have an appropriate emergency reserve. When I think about an emergency reserve, I'm thinking about myself personally, right? I want to be able to make sure I can cover my mortgage. I can buy groceries. I can keep the lights on. I can do the things I need to do for my family. But as a business owner, I don't want to run it so lean that if something happens next quarter or if something happens seismically in my industry, I want to still be able to make payroll. I want to make sure that I can cover my rent. I want to make sure that when that insurance comes due at the end of the year, I've got money to pay for that. I see so many business owners that they're not living paycheck to paycheck, but they're surviving invoice to invoice or launch to launch. I think if you're doing that stuff, you're playing a very dangerous game that you can outrun, but you don't want to be in that position because when the tide goes out, that's when you figure out who's been skinny dipping. Yeah. And, COVID was a tide going out type time. Fourth quarter 2018 was a tide going out time. Great Recession was a tide going out time. It was the businesses who had these appropriate risk measures in place that were able to survive. And some of them even thrive through that because they had those sorts of measures taken care of.
Yeah. So all right. So as the business owner grows, come out, get your numbers in order, bookkeeping, build wealth outside of the business, right? We're going to focus on that retirement stuff first. Oh, mainly, I say retirement. That's the wrong way to say that because yes, you're investing in IRAs and things with an eye toward the future, but it's to avoid tax burden. It's to shelter things. Yep. It's right now is when you're saving the money. It's not just for your retirement. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Then we focus on risk management, insurance. I tell you what's the umbrella policy too for anybody. That's are you talking about a protection in case all right, I've got a couple houses, I've got some property, I got this, I hit a car, get in a car wreck and that person sues me. Is that protecting yourself? Is that what the umbrella policy is kind of for or the business? I have somebody sues me or whatever.
It's more to protect you as a person. I'll give you, you said a great thing. You get into a car wreck and let's say obviously the auto insurance you carry will cover the medical bills and it'll fix the cars and that sort of thing. But what if the car wreck, the guy you get in a car wreck with was a really well-known surgeon in town and he breaks his hand and all of a sudden he can no longer do the job that he was able to do. He says, you know what, that Shane Sams guy, I know he's got a business and he's got some properties. I bet he's got some money. And now I can't go out and make my $1 million a year I was making. I'm going to come after him personally because he screwed this up and he took your umbrella insurance protects you there. And this is another one. This is where we probably see it even more. It not only protects you, but also members of your household. So we have a client, this was a number of years ago. Her son was like 7 years old and he came with this great idea. He was going to start throwing rocks at a passing school bus just because, I guess 7-year-olds think that's smart. A rock went through an open window, hit a little girl in the face, and it caused a laceration. Well, obviously, this was a little girl. It was on her face. Her parents wanted to go see a plastic surgeon to make sure there was no scarring and do all this stuff. And they did that. It was our client's umbrella in policy that ended up covering all those medical bills. This is also true if you have college-age kids. Your kid goes off to college and they decide to make some poor decisions. You as the parent are likely, especially if they're, if they're underage, are going to be liable for that. Your umbrella policy keeps you protected in those instances. So it's such expensive coverage to keep you protected. It makes sense to have it.
The disability stuff's something too, just another tangent here on the side, because like one thing, I'm getting ready to go on the road next year, speak in 20 stadiums. I'm a podcaster. I mean, this is what I do, but like disability, even I was like, I told Jocelyn that I was like, what would happen if something happened to my voice, or I got in a wreck and my jaw got broke and I couldn't talk, or like, it's not like disability is paraplegic in a wheelchair.
No,
it's keeping you from doing your job, like the surgeon's hand, right? Like the surgeon's hand, it might still be able to shoot basketball and play golf, but he can't be a surgeon.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, man. So that's fascinating. And then set up an appropriate emergency reserve. See, we all think about that Dave Ramsey emergency fund, but you don't think about the business. You don't think about like if I'm, I had COVID, dude. I was out of commission for 8 weeks, right? And like, still made payroll, but the business ran. I mean, but like without that savings, without those things, like buddies of ours, when they're, their money goes down, boom, their sales go down. You got to have money to make those needs, man. And to meet that. So anything else that we need to put on this list now that we've got all those things in place? So
here's number 5, right? So we got bookkeeper, and then we got build wealth, retirement, risk management. Here's the other one for business owners. Don't lose your why. Don't forget the reason that you started, because this is something that's really sad. We'll see the person who they have this idea for this beautiful business they want to do. They start doing it and then they get lost in it. And it becomes this like thing where it's all they focus on and it's successful and they keep building and keep building and keep building. Before you do anything, financial otherwise, I'm like a big, Stephen Covey fan where it's like, begin with the end in mind. What was the reason that we started this business? What was the passion behind why we did it? Don't lose track of that, because if you lose track of that and you start chasing something else and you get it, it's going to be incredibly unfulfilling. We got folks say, I want to make $100,000 a year, and they make $100,000 and they're like, well, now what? Okay, I want to make $1 million a year. Okay, well, you do that. Then what? Don't lose track of why it is you're doing the thing you're doing. If you're a small business owner, why was it you said, I want to be a small business owner? And don't lose sight of that, no matter where the journey takes you, because that's going to be the thing that's going to keep you moving in a healthy, positive direction and not getting lost in the weeds on some side street.
There was a guy named Cole Humphreys that was on this podcast, and we were talking. He sold his membership for $10 million, and he was like, "Yeah, I did this and that." He was so miserable after it because he was like, "Wow, I accomplished a thing. I next thing on the bucket list, right? I've got my retirement, I've got my insurance, I've got my 1 year of savings for everybody, and blah blah blah." And it was just misery. He had no purpose, no mission, no nothing. And and it was interesting to hear him say that, because like we had a similar experience after we sold Elementary Librarian. We had flipped lifestyle, but it was kind of like, okay, we did that. What's the next level even look like? And then we've realized you can just keep adding a zero to the next level. That's pointless. It has no sense in it if you don't have a mission or purpose behind what you're doing.
That's exactly right.
All right, man. Let's wrap up here, man. That was great. That's financial master's degree for everybody on the Shane Sams Show. I'm gonna go back here after this and be like, all right, well, do I have all this done? What am I doing here? I need to check back through this. Let's talk a little bit about something I think that we value the same thing as relationships. You said something on the houseboat, man, that blew my mind. I don't know how many people I've said this to since we got home from the mastermind, man, is every room I go in, I want to be the dumbest, poorest person in the room. You said that. I wrote that down. I'm like, I'm stealing that. I'll give him credit twice, then it's mine. I've said that to so many people, about like seeking out people that know what they're doing more than you. Like I'll tell everybody out there right now, nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody. You just know you just know a little bit more than someone else is all you really know. We're all figuring it out as we go. But like the value of mentorship, which I think I'd love to hear you speak about, because I know your story is about your mentor, and then the value of like masterminding, like how do you because you're a dude, I just want to tell everybody out there, I don't say this about all my guests. Great dude, super legit. Everything on the inside, same as the outside. So shameless plug for Bo, brother. But like but mentors and masterminds, relationships, like how is that playing into your success? First, from the mentor standpoint, how important was it for you to find a mentor? And then how are you using masterminds to grow? It
was huge. I've always been like goal oriented and goal motivated. I never struggled with that. Well, the hard part about young folks who are in that camp is, again, we sort of lose sight of the here and now. So one of the beautiful things that I've had mentors in my life say to us, hey, slow down, take a breath, let life happen. It's okay. Don't freak out about this. Don't stress out about the small things. And it's been amazing for me to kind of like recalibrate, because if I'm left in my own echo chamber, I'll drive myself nuts forgetting about those things and forgetting that, like, there are people out there that are more wise than I am. When I was young, if you'd have told me, hey, man, you can make $100,000 one day, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's more money than I could ever spend. Well, as I've already said, you get to 100,000, well, then it's 500, then it's $1 million, then it's 2 million, then it's it'll never stop if that's a goal. And so having mentors that have done some of those things, that have had some of that success, say, hey, let me tell you my story. This is what happened. These are the things that I wish I would have known when I was your age. It's amazing to hear that stuff, because I am so happy when I'm faced with something. I'm like, man, okay, I know what's going on here. And I've had someone who was older and wiser than I am say, hey, when this thing happens, beware, because I did this and you should think about it differently. And I can't tell you how many times that's happened in my life. And it's been amazing. And so what I've said is, I always want to be like, if I get to choose a setting that I'm in, I want to be the youngest, I want to be the dumbest, and I want to be the poorest. And if I can surround myself with those types of folks, all I can do is get wiser and wealthier and smarter, Now, I do want to, like, I say that tongue in cheek, because now I'm recognizing in some of my circles, I'm the guy that's getting to pour into younger folks, and I'm the guy that's getting to help out folks.
Oh, you got to go both ways. It's got to do it once you get it, you got to reach back or you'll lose it. That's what I've found.
That's exactly right.
The second I turn it all about me or me and Jocelyn or our thing, and I'm not like the second I'm not staying around after I speak and talking to the people who congregate, the second I'm not helping people in our community or whatever, like I keep coaching groups even of our members that have 0 members, because I want to make sure I don't ever lose track of I'm the mentor now sometimes.
That's right. I love it. I think that's great.
I love your story, because everybody always asks me, like, how do I get a mentor? How do I get a mentor? Well, do what Bo did. Go get a job, like get hired by the mentor, and they will pay you while they mentor you, right? Like, what a great way to get a mentor. It's not, or our buddy Brian Harris always says too, like, you want a mentor? Like, no one's just going to be your mentor. How about this? Go buy someone's training and become their best testimonial. They will see that, and they will share that, and they will be your mentor. So if you're looking for your mentor, that's 2 great ways to do it: is get hired or go do what they say in their books and courses and be like successful. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, man. What about masterminding? Like, I mean, I know me and you both, I feel like, are in this phase of our life where we're really trying to connect, not just with people above us in categories that we deem important, right? But also like guys, our peers, right? Like this mastermind we go to, and where are you finding value, and why is it important to do that at your current level as well, to grow? Like, how are you hoping that's going to help you in the future?
Yeah. So I think, when you're doing life, we've talked about, you want to have those people ahead of you, and then you want to have those people that are behind you. Well, you also need the people that are right there with you to keep you accountable in the here and now, the things that you're facing. Because, a guy who sold his business for $10 million, he's probably not dealing with like HR issues. He's probably not having to figure out, how do I create career paths for my employees? He's not taking customer stuff. Or that person who's just trying to launch their first digital product, they're not going to be able to help you figure out, okay, well, how do I handle my current audience? So you want people that are in the same stage or similar stages that you are, so that way you can actually talk about the same problems that you are facing. And I have found one of the things I love doing with masterminds that I participate in is I love having masterminds with folks that are in something completely different than what I do. Right. Like I don't want
same
to be in a
stage,
mastermind with
different industry kind of deal.
That's
basically.
Right. Yeah. Because you'd be amazed. Like I can sit down, like I have a good buddy owns a landscaping company. Now it's a big one and they do a lot of stuff here in Nashville, but it's amazing how, even though he's dealing with landscape and trees and dirt and just, I don't deal with dirt ever in the course of my daily function. It's amazing how we have the same types of problems. And I may face a problem with an employee or with a customer or whatever, and he's faced a very similar problem, but his perspective is so much different. And I find that so valuable. That's what I loved about, when you and I went on the house, but everyone's businesses were so different, right? Like we had a similar thread through it all. And it was great hearing that outside perspective, that outside voice, that person who has the ability to look into your situation without all the baggage that you bring into it, right? And I think that's incredibly valuable. But I also, and this is sort of like the caveat to that, Warren Buffett has this quote. He says, the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. And one of the things that I've been trying to do a lot better about this last year is figure out, for like those mastermind peer groups, which are the ones that are like really make sense for me to be in, and which do not make sense for me to be in. How do I say no well, so that I don't get busy doing nothing and I'm only focusing on areas where either I can deliver a tremendous amount of value or receive a tremendous amount of value. I don't want anything in the in-between if I can help it.
Yeah, man, that was brilliant. Like the concept of, like, when we were on the houseboat, like I can look at you and just give you my honest opinion of what I think, because I know nothing about financial planning, but you know that you don't know as much about my world. And
that's right.
So when you tell me something that you're seeing, whether it's like, if we're both having an employee or a team building thing, you're building we're still building teams. It's all the same.
That's right.
But our industries are different. So you have this total honesty when you have various industries, various people. And what I've done, this is a pro tip for the day. Like, so I've got this permanent mastermind of guys I talk to every day. And now the bottom where I'm reaching back for people, I find that is infinitely big. Like I can interact with as many people as possible within my settings of being paid and whatever, like my membership.
Sure.
We're getting paid on stage, whatever. I can just rapid fire those people one question at a time. Right. So that's how I reach back to help. But that core group is always the same. Now, when I go lateral, is it lateral? What's a lateral? Is that sideways? Like,
lateral. That's right.
When I'm staying at my level where I'm playing right now, I like to jump in a mastermind, like and get out. I got a buddy right now who wants me to come up to his mastermind and do kind of like what you did. You jumped into the houseboat. I'm going into his thing, but you get to jump in and jump back out, where you're not saying yes forever, bro. I don't know, man. Above me, there's like 2-3 people that I really listen to, because, man, if you get too many at the mentor levels, where you can have problems. Like if you start listening to 10 different people, you're not going to know which way to go. Well, listen, man, this is a great talk, man. We could talk forever, because we were together for 4 straight days trapped on a houseboat, right?
It was awesome. It was
I'm glad I got to feature you on the show, man. I know this is a hugely valuable thing. Couldn't wait to show you off today. Couldn't wait to hang out. And no matter what happens this weekend with Georgia, Kentucky, I'll still love you next week, man. So, Bo, tell everybody where they can. That's right. Tell everybody where they can find you online and where they can connect with you out there in the world.
Yeah, if you want to go check out the show, you can go to moneyguy.com. That's our website. The name of the show is The Money Guy Show. If you go out to YouTube, you can check out our channel there, Money Guy Show on YouTube, or go out to iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, search for The Money Guy. We'd love to have you check it out. It's all the price of admission is absolutely worth it. So come check it out. And thanks so much for letting me come be on the Shane Sam Show.
All right, y'all, that wraps up this episode of the Shane Sams Show. Thank you so much for listening. Man, it is an honor to be able to sit here with some of the best experts, authors, and entrepreneurs on the planet every single episode of this show, to learn more about their stories and also to be able to pick up the wisdom and knowledge that they have in their industry. I know I grow every single episode, and I hope that you do as well. If you love what we're doing here on the podcast every week, do me a favor, help me grow this show. The bigger it gets, the bigger guests I get, and the more amazing wisdom and knowledge you get from listening every week. How can you help me grow the show? It's pretty simple. First, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go leave us a 5-star review. Tell me what you love about the show. I read every single one of those reviews. Hey, if you loved this episode, if you think somebody could benefit from it, give it a share on social media. Or heck, why not tell a friend? Just at your next dinner party, at your next business lunch, say, give me your phone. I'm going to subscribe you to this awesome podcast that I listen to every week. And if you'd like to connect with me, hit me up on Twitter at Shane_Sams. That's at Shane_Sams. Or head over to ShaneSams.com, where you can check out all the episodes of the Shane Sams Show. You can check out my personal blog, and you can learn about all the things I do to help online business owners start, build, and grow internet businesses of their own. Thank you so much for listening. That's all the time I have for this week. Until next time, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, be consistent, be prolific, be relentless. Pick up your stone, cast it out upon the waters, and cause many ripples. I'll see you then.